This is the remarkable and unlikely story of how Celtic striker Dixie Deans met reggae legend Bob Marley. A meeting that felt impossible, yet happened exactly as Dixie told it. A moment where Scottish football, Jamaican music and pure chance collided. To understand the full story, we begin in the late 1970s. Dixie Deans, one of the most natural finishers ever to pull on the green and white of Celtic, had moved to Australia. His playing days in Scotland were behind him, and he was now turning out for Adelaide City. Life was quieter, the crowds were smaller, but football was still football. One evening, during a fairly ordinary training session, something unusual happened. The manager approached Dixie with a stranger beside him. The man was slim, relaxed, wearing a simple shirt and carrying an aura that Dixie couldn't quite place. He had long dreadlocks, a gentle smile and a shy, respectful energy. The manager said, "Dixie, this is Bob. He's a musician. Loves the game. Thought he'd like to watch training." Dixie nodded politely. He later admitted, "I didn't know him from Adam. The name didn't mean a thing to me at the time." Bob Marley stepped forward and shook Dixie's hand. Then, instead of talking about music, fame or touring, he leaned in slightly and asked, "You are Dixie Deans, yes? The Celtic fella?" Dixie froze for a moment. Not because Bob Marley knew his name, but because Bob Marley knew Celtic. Dixie confirmed who he was, and suddenly Bob's whole expression changed. His face lit up, his voice warmed. He didn't act like the world's most recognisable musician. He acted like a supporter meeting one of his heroes. Bob said, "Oh, you know, I am a big Celtic fan. I would love to go to Scotland to see Celtic Park. I know all about Jock Stein." Dixie was stunned. He had met fans all over the world, but never one from Jamaica, and never one as passionately informed as Bob Marley. Bob continued, "I love reading about British football teams, and Celtic has always been my team, and now it is my son Rohan's team. He is only 6, but he loves Celtic. I cannot tell you how much I envy you having played at Celtic Park." For a moment Dixie simply stared at him. Here was Bob Marley, already a global icon, speaking with the joy and innocence of a supporter standing outside the old jungle, waiting for the gates to open. What impressed Dixie most wasn't the passion, it was the knowledge. Bob Marley knew the players, the history, the Lisbon Lions, the teams of Stein, the European Knights, the goals, the legends. He knew it the same way a Glaswegian raised on Kerrydale Street would know it. Dixie later said, "I was greatly impressed by the great man's football knowledge," and even more surprised when Bob asked if he could have a wee kickabout with the players. They said yes, and Bob Marley, without fuss, joined the training session. The players expected a gimmick, but Bob could play, really play. Quick feet, sharp touches, a natural sense of rhythm and balance. He passed and moved with ease, laughing occasionally, competing honestly, never trying to show off. Dixie later said, "His ability surprised me just as much as his knowledge." And he wasn't exaggerating. Bob had once said that if he could live 2 lives, one of them would be as a professional footballer. At one point Bob stopped beside Dixie and said, "Football is like music, man. It's all rhythm and timing. You feel it here." He tapped his chest. "Always here." The two men walked the touchline together for a while. Bob asked questions about Jock Stein's discipline, about training methods, about what it felt like to score in front of the Celtic support. Dixie answered honestly, still amazed that this Jamaican superstar cared so deeply about a club from Glasgow. Bob spoke again about his dream, to stand inside Celtic Park, to hear the noise, to feel the place. "One day, I will go." Sadly, Bob Marley never made that trip, but that night in Adelaide became one of the most famous and heartwarming Celtic stories ever told. Dixie never forgot what he witnessed, the humility, the passion, the genuine love for Celtic Football Club. Bob Marley didn't support Celtic because it was fashionable. He supported Celtic because he connected with their history, their identity, their spirit and the emotion the club inspired. Two men from totally different worlds, a Scottish striker and a Jamaican poet. Their paths crossed for a single evening. No cameras, no publicity, just football, just respect, just the simple joy of the beautiful game. And at the heart of it all, Celtic Football Club.